Good afternoon, everybody. Another 5 minutes or so. We're just waiting for people to log in and we'll start. So really request you to have patience for 5 minutes. Vinay ji, namaskar.
Just give us a bit.
Keep it behind the lead, then that will be better.
The light is falling in my face now.
No, but that will fall in the face and then that will be, that's the whole idea of it.
Behind the ring, behind this.
Let it, this takes the place of these dots, then that will support and
Vrinda ji,
Hi everyone,
welcome.
good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Namaste. Namaste ji.
Namaste.
Neena ji, namaskar. Welcome. Vinay ji, namaskar.
Namaste, namaste.
Rekha ji, welcome again. I think Nityashri ji is also come. Nityashri ji, namaskar. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. And welcome to all our speakers and happy International Women's Day, first of all.
Thank you.
Today is quite a special day because women are celebrated. I personally tend to believe that women should be celebrated 364 days of the year as well. But I think one day for us to remember how much support and how much the women in our lives mean everything to us. I think it's very important for us to use this day to remember this, as well as in general think about women all over the world who do not have the same opportunities as women in certain societies, and the struggle still continues. Before we start, I'd just like to make a service announcement in Italian, quindi chiunque vuole seguire in italiano può cliccare interpretazione e seguire interpretazione in italiano. because we have simultaneous translation in Italian, very ably provided by Vincenzo Vassallo, who's a student of Sanskrit at the Orientale in Napoli. So, I think we're all here, and people are still logging in. And I'd request the speakers to keep their mics on mute unless they're speaking, so that other speakers can be heard. That said, ladies and the few gentlemen who are here with me, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this webinar on Women and Power, which is a discussion on the public participation of women in the growth of modern India. This webinar is co-hosted by the Indian Center for Cultural Relations, ICCR, the Embassy of India in Rome, the Center for South and Southeast Asian Studies at the University of Naples, Orientale, and finally Associazione Sakshi. India has an ancient history of women in power who have repeatedly set an example. Whether it is Queen Nanika of the Satvahana Empire in the 2nd century BC, Razia Sultana from the first Sultanate of Delhi, and more modern examples of leaders like Indira Gandhi and Sushma Swaraj, women have been at the forefront of modern India's freedom struggle, conception, and development. Mahatma Gandhi very aptly once said, is that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And I think that remains valid for all of us. Women have held important positions in India. We've had a chief of state, a president of the republic who was a woman. We've had prime minister who was a woman, justices of the Supreme Court of India, among others. But challenges still abound. And while we would like to see more participation of women in public roles as well as in politics, today we would like to celebrate the achievements, because there's always room for improvement. But I think at times it's important for us to take a moment and celebrate the achievements of the women around us and what we've managed to do as a country. And hence the idea of this webinar, to understand from you all the challenges you faced, as well as the joy you received in public service. But before we start, I have here Dr. Daniela Capello. Daniela has a PhD in Bengali, and she will start with reciting a small prayer, which is Chitto Jetha Bhai Shunyo, or Where the Mind is Without Fear, by Rabindranath Tagore. Over to Daniela.
Thank you, Vas, for your introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. সবাইকে নমস্কার। আমার নাম দানিয়েলা, আজকে আমি পাদোয়া থেকে ফোন করি। প্রথমে সবাইকে আন্তর্জাতিক নারীর দিবসের আমার শুভেচ্ছা এবং ভালোবাসা পাঠিয়ে দিই। আজকে আমি রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুরের একটি কবিতা ঘোষণা পড়ব, যার নাম হচ্ছে চিত্ত যেথা ভয় শূন্য, যেটাকে ইংলিশ ভাষায় আমরা অনুবাদ করি Where the Mind is Without Fear। তাহলে আমি শুরু করি। চিত্ত যেথা ভয় শূন্য, উৎস যেথা শির, জ্ঞান যেথা মুক্ত, যেথা গৃহের প্রাচীর। আপন প্রাঙ্গণ তলে দি বসু সর্বরি, বসুধারে রাখে নাই খন্দ্র ক্ষুদ্র করি। যেথা বাক্য হৃদয়ের উৎস মুখ হতে উচ্ছ্বসিয়া উঠে, যেথা নির্বারিত স্রোতে দেশে দেশে দিশে দিশে কর্মধারাধায় অজস্র সহস্র বিচরিতার্থতায়। যেটা তুচ্ছ আচারের মরুবালু রাশি, বিচারের স্রোতপথ ফেলে নাই গ্রাসী। পৌরুষের করে নি শতধা, নিত্য যেথা তুমি সর্বকর্ম চিন্তা নন্দের নেতা। নিজ হস্তে নির্দয় আঘাত করি পিতহ, ভারতের সেই স্বর্গ করো জাগরিত। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে। Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Daniela, and thanks for an excellent rendition. In Italy, we've had the good fortune of having a female-led embassy for a few years now, and we hope this continues. Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Neena Malhotra took her post right in the middle of the pandemic in September 2020. Not only did she hit the ground running, she has increased the embassy's outreach manifold, as well as the activities tremendously at a very, very challenging time, not only globally, but also between the two countries. So today I'd request Ambassador Dr. Malhotra to inaugurate the event and give us some welcome remarks. Ambassador.
Thank you, As. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, President, Indian Council of Cultural Relations and Honorable Member of the Rajya Sabha, Mrs. Rekha Sharma, Chairperson, National Commission for Women, distinguished speakers and guests. Good afternoon, namaste, buongiorno. I'm delighted to be part of this International Women's Day celebrations today. I compliment University of Naples, L'Orientale and Saksi Association for organizing this seminar and bringing us all together. I would extend my warm greetings to all of you on Women's Day. This day is celebrated globally to honor the achievements of women, raise awareness against gender bias, and take action for equality. But for me, the celebration is not just limited to mere achievements of women. It is a celebration of the essence of womanhood, which finds expressions much beyond the description of words and ticking of boxes of achievements. The contribution of women in every sphere of life is massive. Women as mothers, sisters, wives, partners, colleagues, caregivers, whichever role they perform, and women as individuals, regardless of relationships or professions, are bestowers of life, love, friendships, and trust. They demonstrate what caring and sharing is all about and add meanings to life. Women empowerment is empowerment of society. The discourse in India on women's empowerment started even before India became a republic. Our constitution and the directive principles enshrined therein have given our governments clear guidelines for policy and planning. The Indian constitution has bestowed equal rights on women. They enjoy all social, political, and economic rights, and for equal work, both men and women are eligible for equal wages. Women in India have occupied the highest offices, both in the government and private organizations. They've been elected to the office of the President, the Prime Minister, Speaker of both Houses of Parliament, ministers, and CEOs of important organizations. In my own service, nearly 25% of us are women, and 22 of them occupy heads of missions posts. Every 5 years, 1 million women are being elected to the panchayats, which is the grassroots level governance institutions of our country. This large-scale mobilization of women in the public life of our country is the most important political intervention aimed at the empowerment of women anywhere in the world. Women are not only entering into conventional professions, but also in professions once unthinkable for women, including in defense and combat roles. Over 15.7 million startup businesses are owned by women in India. According to an estimate, more than 30 million new women-owned enterprises are predicted to create 150 to 170 million new employment by 2030. The rise of Indian women entrepreneurs has had a substantial impact on the country's social and economic demographics. In the last almost 75 years of our independence, we have made significant strides in empowering our women. Many programs have been put in place. Government strategy is continually focused on enhancing women's social, cultural, political, and economic standing in the country. No nation can stand proud if it discriminates against any of its citizens. As Swami Vivekananda once famously said, there is no chance for the welfare of the world unless the condition of women is improved. It's not possible for a bird to fly on only one wing, unquote. Certainly, a nation's progress and prosperity can be judged by the way it treats its women folk. Once again, I express my happiness to be here with all of you today. Let me end by wishing the deliberations of this seminar all success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Malhotra. And thank you so much for everything you've done for us here. Let me take this special opportunity today to thank you again. The National Commission for Women was established by the Government of India in 1992 to protect women's rights and empower women, as well as advise the government on policies towards women. Honorable Ms. Rekha Sharma, since has been appointed chairwoman, has done exceptional work not only to protect women victims of violence and injustice, but also in the field of women's empowerment. I'd request Honorable Rekha Sharma, our chief guest today, to deliver her address. Rekha ji, thank you.
Thank you so much, Vas. Namaskar. Good evening. Her Excellency Dr. Neena Malhotra, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe ji. Let me first congratulate every woman and man in this program. Very happy International Women's Day. In my opinion, I would rather say that every day is Women's Day. And if you don't believe me, ask men in this program who are attending this. Women in India always played an important role in family and in the society. Our prime unit is not individual, but a family. And family is given more importance in India. It is women who support children and elderly in the families. Despite our family following a patriarchal lineage, women in India always had the major role and say in the family in all matters, from running the home finances to the recipes in the kitchen, everywhere. You must have heard Dadi Ma ke nuske and grandmother's recipes. It all comes from the family itself. Despite of social pressures, gender discrimination, age-old prejudices, women in India slowly, steadily tiptoeing to the prestigious positions in all the sectors. Today, we had a very important discussion in our program on Women's Day, where our panelists were the inspirations for everyone and their stories, how they achieved and what they achieved, how they went through all the problems to reach to a position where we look up to them. And I would like here to refer to these names. One of them was Dr. Tessie Thomas, and you all know about her achievements. She's also known as Missile Woman of India. Dr. Kalpana Saroj, she's chairperson of Kamani Tubes, and her journey is so tough. She started her journey from earning 2 rupees a day, and now today she is chairperson of Kamani Tubes. And if you go through the profile of Kamani Tubes, you will be knowing that what big business she is running. We had Justice retired S. Vimla. She is a retired Madras High Court judge. Anita Kundu, she went to Mount Everest not once but twice. Miss Ishrat Akhtar, she is first international wheelchair basketball player from India. Miss Vartika Shukla, she is a first ever woman CMD for the company. She is she's managing director of Engineers India Limited. So I'm telling you all these names because they started from a very humble background and reached to the helm of the position. Today, women of our country are an integral part of most of the vocations and professions, be it any sector, including sector which were labeled as men's domain. In agriculture, we have 60% of farmers who are women. Traditional rural industries all run by women. Healthcare sector, which is mostly women, and our nurses are not only working in India, but most of the countries have Indian nurses. We have, and they have, in the healthcare, the women have shown extra merit and extra grit during the pandemic. Information and technology, we have 28% of women who are working in IT sector. Education, 42% of women are working in the education. Aviation sector, let me tell you, in India, from world over, 10% more women are there in aviation sectors. Science and technology, research and development, games, sports, athletes, entertainment, entrepreneurs. We have in beauty, corporate governance, and all these sectors are now slowly and steadily ruled by women, and we are proud of these women. Our ancient history is full of Indian women rulers. As Vas was also telling, we have women in different states who were ruling in different times, like Ahilya Bai Holkar, Razia Sultana, Noor Jahan, Dida, Chand Bibi, Rani Lakshmi Bai, and many others which I have not named. They were the first inspiration, and we always remember them. They never got the throne due to natural succession, but proved their intelligence, proved their bravery and courage, and they strongly ran those estates. Our constitution provides women equal rights since inception. We had equal rights in voting and getting elected. We had our first prime minister in 1966, women prime minister. We had Amrita Kaur, first women to hold cabinet rank as Minister of Health. We had Srimati Pratibha Patil as women president. And in recent past, we had Sushma Swaraj, who was such an inspiration for all the women in politics world over. Today, we have 50% women in local bodies in almost all the states. Though it started by husbands ruling in proxy, but slowly women realized that they are capable and as effective, maybe more sometime, as their husbands or men counterparts. These days, we have more women in our state assemblies than ever, and in parliament also. Yet it is felt that number is still not sufficient, and there is need to have higher participation of women in politics. We have had an array of strong and powerful women union ministers today also. We have Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji, who is finance minister, and we have a very strong WCD, Women and Child Ministry, Smriti Irani ji. When I joined National Commission for Women, we were mostly concentrating on complaints, law reviews, but since I took over, we started working in empowering women in different spheres. We are now training women not only in entrepreneurship, but in small sectors like dairy farming. We are training them in tourism and in other areas also. We are capacity building women in politics. These days, there is a program we are running in NCW where we are training women in local bodies, in assemblies, and now maybe we will be also having programs for women in politics who are just entered the politics, not holding any position, but want to go ahead with in the politics. NCW is, and since the time I have joined the NCW, in these last 6 years also, I have seen the change of the mindset in people. Earlier, they were afraid of coming up to the commission and complaining about the matters, but now more and more women are coming up, talking about their problems, share their problems, not only by email or by writing to us. They are coming forward on social media. They are tweeting about their problems, tagging me, and we we are always there in helping them out, taking their problems from social media also, and always in touch with them. And this is the way I think the commissions and women organizations should work. Even during Corona days, we started different work which NCW never ever worked. We helped women who were expecting to reach to the hospital, to get the medical facilities, even to counsel them. When all over the world people were talking about increasing number of cases in domestic violence, we started a different helpline for only domestic violence victims who could reach us on WhatsApp, and we were able to help them as and when they were reaching us, whether it is day and night. We also worked for elderly couples who were stuck in their homes and were not being able to get groceries or medicine, and we started a helpline which was Happy to Help. And that helped us so much to reach us, not only by ourselves or through police, but even people who got help came forward and they said, we will be happy to help others because we are in this station and we can reach out to people in this station. So we could make a chain system where people were coming forward and they were helping others. So these are the things which NCW is now. These are the new initiatives which we are taking, and I think in coming years we will be doing much more than we are doing today. I must thank Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe because he is a constant source of inspiration for us. And whenever I need any suggestion, I could reach him anytime, and he is available on phone 24/7. Even his wife, I must say, Naina ji, she is also always in touch with NCW and helping us around wherever we need her. She chips in and help us. Thank you for inviting me in this very important topic. We can exchange ideas between different countries, and I would love to learn from others in other different countries how we can tackle, especially the victims of domestic violence, how we can rehabilitate them. Though we are doing, the government is doing, we have shelter homes, we have one-stop centers, but I feel there is a need to do much more than what we are doing. Thank you once again for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Rekha ji. Thank you for making the time to be present here, and happy Women's Day as well. We were supposed to have Her Excellency Emanuela Del Rey, former Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Italy and currently the EU Special Representative for the Sahel region. Unfortunately, she has had to travel to Brussels, but she was kind enough from the airport to record a message and send it to us, which I shall play, because she had a flight that then unfortunately she had to catch the flight. So let me play her message.
Dear friends, I'm talking to you from the airport of Rome because as usual I'm on the way to another country. But I wanted to be with you, not only because my friend Ambassador Nina Malhotra invited me, but also because I'm a friend of India, as I've always been, and I feel Indian to a certain extent because I think that our cultures are very close, and it is very important that we unite our forces, especially when talking about women. What do I mean by unite our forces? I mean that, of course, there has been progress in the last few years. Of course, women have acquired a very important role in society and are listened to, and they actually enjoy roles at the highest level. But unfortunately, much has to be done still because we are not enough in public positions. Situations such as domestic violence is very diffused and actually increased in COVID times. Women and children are still very vulnerable. Young girls are often excluded from school, and in the world in general we have phenomena such as early marriage and female genital mutilations that really make the life of young girls impossible and very difficult to live with serenity and with the possibility to realize their own aspirations as it should be granted. So I want to say that we count on India because India has gone a long way. India is a very important example in terms of empowerment of women. And of course, it is important, as I said, that this message comes from where we have already obtained successes. Because narrative is very, very relevant. I think that narrative can make the difference because through positive narrative we can also give faith and self-confidence to all those women who feel neglected, marginalized, deprived of their power. So I just conclude by saying today in Italy, as elsewhere, is International Women's Day. It shouldn't be so, in the sense that we shouldn't reserve only one day to women, because women make the difference in everyday life. And when I say every day, I mean every single day. India is a leading country in the world for an important progress in all domains, starting with the social aspects, of course. And therefore, it is important that India calls upon women who are striving to make sure that there is a very sustainable empowerment of women to send this important message. So thank you very much.
So I would like to thank Her Excellency Honorable Emanuela Del Rey for having taken the time to record a message, and it was indeed very last minute, so a special thanks to her. Today's webinar would not have been possible without the vision and support of our special guest, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe. Dr. Sahasrabudhe is the president of the Indian Council for Cultural Relations. He's also a member of the Rajya Sabha, the Indian upper house of the Indian Parliament. He's also a scholar and a political visionary, as well as the chairman of the Standing Committee on Education, Women, Children, Youth and Sports. I request our co-host, Dr. Sahasrabudhe, to say a few words. And again, thank you, sir.
Namaste. Chairman of the National Commission for Women, Srimati Rekha Sharma ji. Excellency, Ambassador of India, Dr. Nina Malhotra ji in Italy. Narendra ji, Shanoy ji, all other dignitaries present who are from India and from Italy as well. Professor from the University of Naples, and ladies and gentlemen. While observance of International Women's Day has become a routine, we believe that this is an occasion in a way to introspect, to reflect upon, and to rededicate ourselves to the larger cause of human equality. Because many times societies are evaluated without taking into consideration the fact that there are certain societies which are civilizational societies like what we have in India. And therefore, the kind of foreign aggressions that we braved, the kind of scars that we even now carry, and the kind of struggle that we had to wage for centuries together is easily forgotten, and such traditional civilizational societies are compared with other societies, which I believe is not doing justice. And therefore, the International Women's Day, it's something for India as well and the Indian society to once again commit all of us to the larger cause of human equality, of which gender equality is an important segment. Let me reflect upon, if I may say so, the essentially Indian view of women empowerment. As a student of social science, I believe there are 5 important pillars of the Indian vision of women empowerment. Firstly, it is ensuring equality of dignity, equality of opportunity, and equality of security, which I believe is the right definition of gender equality. Because simply providing a secure environment for women, although very, very essential, very fundamental, but perhaps not enough. Simply, if a woman starts earning money, may not give her the place of dignity, a dignified life. And all these things are combined. And therefore, we cannot have a skewed or a compartmental view of equality between men and women. And therefore, equality of dignity, equality of opportunity, and equality of security, I believe, are the fundamental principles of gender equality. And I'm really happy to share that slowly but certainly it is happening in India. While it is a fact that in many countries, many democracies, many advanced and modern democracies of the world, women got the right to vote much, much later than the men. In India, the last year, in fact, marked the 100 years of the beginning of voting practices in India. It was in 1920 that the first election happened under the British rule. But even at that point of time, Indian women voted. Nothing could come in our way of equality of opportunity to vote, to elect our representatives. And today, we have come a long way. In many states in India, it has now become a practice that when a child is admitted to a school or when a grown-up person comes out of the university getting a degree, his admission certificate in the school or his degree certificate, which he gets from the university, now has a provision of putting 2 names as middle names, the name of his mother, his or her mother, and the name of his or her father as well. This is not a small thing. This is equality of dignity, because after all, the upbringing of an individual is more thanks to his or her mother. And therefore, the supremely important role played by women as mothers is in a way recognized through giving a space of dignity, respect, not only in discussions and lectures, but also on the degree certificate. It may sound as a token, as something like tokenism, but I believe it has a deeper meaning. The second pillar, and which I believe is the most important pillar of women empowerment, as I understand, is ensuring a drastic change in the male mindset, traditional male mindset. Because women empowerment, or rather the key to women empowerment, as I understand, lies in transformation in the thinking of the men of the world. Unless and until we do that, we work towards that, we strive for that, truly speaking, women empowerment cannot become a reality. And I'm happy that the Indian narrative about women empowerment finds these kinds of issues figuring prominently. As far back as some 50 years before, when a Gandhian scholar and a close accomplice of Mahatma Gandhi, Acharya Dada Dharmadhikari, in a beautifully told story, explained as to why this is required. And he tells the message coming from a Gandhian was that now, with the advancement of industrialization and women entering into several such spheres which were earlier considered as the domains of men only, women flying aeroplanes, women fighting elections, women fighting with other men as becoming an army person. So there is practically no areas where women are not present today. Dharmadhikari says, if women has made a space of their own in the traditionally held areas by men, it is now for men to go to enter into those areas which were traditionally considered as women-only areas, whether it is taking care of families or taking care of kids or even working in the kitchen. And now it is for men to ensure that they also share with their women partners in all these activities. I think a message coming from a Gandhian some 50 years before is the key to the true and practical approach towards gender equality. The third pillar, as I understand, is greater democratization of a family. Our families provide a security cover, not just to men, but women as well. And in India, traditionally, we find that there are several families, or rather, I would say, majority of the families that are women-led families. Technically, men might be considered as heads of families. That is because of our traditional mindset. But in practice, it is the women who are leading the families. They are the decision makers, or rather the decision influencers, if I may put it that way. And let me also mention over here that Indian families are representative of the democratic spirit that will live in India. In India, our relationships are such that we value individuality and we also do not undermine the importance of collectivism. And that is what makes families in India more democratic. But I would say that greater democratization of families is the third important pillar of women empowerment. The fourth is absolute rejection of commodification of women. Unfortunately, today's world of, let's say, advertisements, all other commercial activities, market-driven economy, All these factors are contributing, unfortunately and sadly, to the commodification of women. I believe the earlier we wake up to this reality and take some corrective action, the better for true gender justice and equality between men and women. And therefore, rejecting commodification is the fourth important key to women empowerment. The fifth key is the understanding that women issues are not of women alone. They are of the entire society. In fact, I remember having read a report by a study group which assessed the performance of women and child development committees in several local self-government bodies in India, where traditionally the men who are at the commanding positions offer in a very condescending manner the positions in the Women and Child Development Committee to all the women members, as if it is only for women to take care of women and children issues. And in fact, a study report suggested whether there could be a reverse quota for men, compelling men also to take care of women and children related issues, because women and children related issues are not only of women. I'm happy that the Women Commission, which is headed by Srimati Rekha Sharma, also has a provision that there could be men as members of the National Commission of Women. And I believe earlier also there were men members in the commission, and today also perhaps there is one member who is a male member of the Women Commission. So this is again, I believe, an important part of it. I remember that a woman Dalit entrepreneur has come out with a technological innovation to do away with manual scavenging, which unfortunately continues in certain parts of India even today. And it was a Dalit woman entrepreneur who came out with solutions, and today she has become a big business person. She has offered some technology and created some businesses out of her efforts to put an end to manual scavenging. This can come only from women because they are definitely more sensitive than their male counterparts. Lastly, I must add here that the traditional Indian approach towards gender justice, I believe, rejects the man versus woman binary. Because we believe that as a society we are all one, and we have to work together and find solutions together and face the challenges also together. And therefore, the traditional Western idea of liberating women or women liberty, I believe, requires revisiting. Because in India, we consider women as liberators, and those who are already liberating the society, how can we liberate them? And I'm not saying this simply to give a particular approach. I believe that it's a fact that women can liberate the society, and for the society, and more importantly for the men, is to recognize this fact that women are the liberators, and therefore salute their efforts for the liberation of society. To that end, I believe Indian culture and the way at the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, we are trying to create a proper understanding about Indian culture among the global community, definitely will have this particular subject prominently figuring on our agenda. At this International Women's Day, I offer my greetings not only to women, but to men as well, because it is together we are celebrating the International Women's Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sahasrabudhe. And apart from inspiring, I think the speech was very moving also because of how you ended it. So thank you again for your support, and thank you for making the time to participate and for all the inspiration that you have provided for this to happen. Hopefully, this is the first of several others. After Dr. Sahasrabudhe, I would like to request Ms. Nityashree Mahadevan, who is a classical musician, an artist, a singer who has released more than 500 albums and performed all over India. Nityashree ji, please, if you could say a few words.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. International Women's Day greetings to all the dignitaries, distinguished guests, particularly women illuminaries present here. Namaste. Whilst any day makes for a great opportunity to applaud the women in our life, in our society, March 8th gives us a reason to celebrate them. Atulam tatra tattejah sarva deva sharirajam ekastam tadabhunnari vyapta lokatrayam tvisha. This Sanskrit verse from an ancient Indian text, Devi Mahatmyam, says, the incomparable radiance that was born from all gods pervaded the three worlds, came to one place and took the form of a woman. So that so beautifully describes the greatness of a woman. Our ancient Indian culture not only respects and celebrates women as the greatest strength, power, and embodiment of unconditional love and selflessness and sacrifice, but also as a personification of wisdom and valor. There is another ancient Sanskrit verse that I would like to share with you. Nari samajasya kushala vastukara. This describes women as the most skilled architects of the society. And now, for anyone who sees women as a weaker gender, here goes the quote of the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji. To call woman the weaker sex is a libel. It is man's injustice to woman. If by strength is meant brute strength, then indeed woman is less brute than man. If by strength is meant moral power, then woman is immeasurably man's superior. Even after India attained independence in 1947, the great visionary Gandhi ji opined that India would not be considered completely progressive until a woman can walk on the streets at midnight without any fears and concerns. This clearly shows that the worth of any civilization can be judged only by the status and position given to women. The respect and dignity for women was upheld in the ancient times. For instance, one of the powerful kings of Chola dynasty consulted the scholar and poet Avvaiyar, for any major decisions, be it diplomacy or politics. Just like how the women of the various parts of the world faced the issue of gender discrimination, Indian women too had their share of sufferings like sati, which was the brutal practice of the widow throwing themselves into the funeral pyre of the husband, child marriage, confinement to the domestic duties, restrictions imposed on their public involvement, etc. and etc. This was particularly due to the influence, partially also I could say, partially due to the influence of various other empires to which India was exposed to. Then the world actually started evaluating discrimination. The world also saw the historical footsteps of great women who fought for their rights. The journey of them was not so easy to explicate. Being a classical female singer, I find it relevant to talk about the taboos faced by my seniors back in the day. The music field during the initial period, during the early 20th century, was a male-dominated one. The 20th century and the period before that. The composers, musicians, teachers, instrumentalists, everyone were all mostly men. The female singers and dancers, who were considered not that much respectable in society, were only allowed to perform simple hymns in places of worship, in spite of many of them being extremely talented and very well informed. After the rise of the female trinity of South Indian music, namely Bharat Ratna Srimati M.S. Subbulakshmi, Sangeeta Kalanidhi Srimati D.K. Pattamal, Sangeeta Kalanidhi Srimati M.L. Vasantakumari, the outlook of our society changed drastically. Well, taking the example of my mentor and grandmother, Srimati D.K. Pattamal, who was born into a traditionally soaked Orthodox family, she broke all the social barriers, even participated in the freedom struggle movement through her powerful rendition of songs which kindled patriotism in the masses. Hers was the first voice that echoed in free India on the midnight of August 15th, 1947. She sang the song Aduvome Pallu Paduvome. She went to the All India radio station and rendered that particular song. In this context, perhaps Pattamal's life is a breathing example of how a woman can achieve the greatest summits of freedom and acclaim without even having to succumb to gender discord. And I'm very proud to say today, female musicians occupy center stage in music, if not overtaking their male counterparts. I would definitely say they are at least on par with them. And naturally, being great multitaskers, women beautifully can and do balance personal life and professional commitments. The participation of women in public walks of life suffered either due to the fear of inadequacy to meet the domestic demands, or sometimes being forcibly, sometimes or many times, being forcibly restricted not to chase their passions and dreams. But the scenario has changed considerably. Womanhood has undergone a complete renaissance. We have the presidents of Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi, Velu Nachiyar, Sarojini Naidu, who were all, and many more other female warriors who are actively involved in the freedom movement. I would like to quote few female achievers, trailblazers, revolutionaries pertaining to my state, Tamil Nadu. A few decades ago, Dr. Muthulakshmi Reddy, she was the first woman lawmaker in India. She championed the cause of reservation for women in elected bodies. I would like to quote Dr. Shanta, who established the Cancer Institute in Chennai to provide free cancer treatment to the needy and create awareness on this dreadful disease. Mrs. Savitri Vaiti, a social reformer, she dedicated her life for supporting destitute women and deserted homeless old people by building a shelter called Vishranti. One of the greatest exponents of classical music, Srimati M.S. Subbulakshmi, was awarded the highest civilian honor of our country, not only for her contribution towards the field of Carnatic music, but also for her noble gesture of contributing generously for social and philanthropic causes. Today, women hold the topmost positions in every sector and play the best roles history will ever witness. But there still are things that need to be addressed. Society needs to wake up and see women for who they are. In fact, women build not only themselves, not only their family, but a whole community. Let us come together to bring a change in the way the world perceives a woman's dignity and respect. On this day, let us also pledge to create a world where women do not have to face any affliction. One of the verses of the revolutionary Tamil poet Mahakavi Subramanya Bharatiyar conveys this important message. மாதர் தம்மை இழிவு செய்யும் மடமையை கொளுத்துவோம். தாதரென்ற நிலைமை மாறி ஆண்களோடு பெண்களும் சரிநிகர் சமானமாக வாழ்வோம் இந்த நாட்டிலே. Bharatiyar says, anyone or anything, any custom, any practice that suppresses women should be burnt to ashes. And that instead of seeing women as only objects of beauty, women have to be treated on par with men, socially, intellectually, spiritually, and morally. Thank you so much, ICCR, Sakshi, University of Naples, and Indian Embassy, Italy, for this wonderful opportunity to voice out my views as a woman on this very special occasion of Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Niteshi ji. And it's unfortunate that Zoom does not do justice to your voice. We do hope that we will have you here singing live, but unfortunately we can't do much with the Zoom system. But thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us. Now we have Dr. Brinda Jagirdar, who is one of India's most eminent and leading economists. She is the former chief economist of the State Bank of India, India's largest bank. She's also on the board of several institutions and has served as an advisor to the Government of India on economic policy. Dr. Jagirdar, if you would say a few words.
Namaste to all the dignitaries and the friends who have joined us today. First of all, I'm very thankful for this opportunity to share my views with everyone today. Thank you so much. It is, as everybody has really explained, India has a long tradition of having women participate actively in public life, in society, in religious affairs, in economics, in financial matters. So we have a long tradition. And now after independence, we have the constitution which guarantees us equality in every sense. We did not have to fight for the vote. We got it right from the beginning. And I would like to say that I have come here so far, but I have not come here alone. I have not come here all on my own. It's first of all, it's my parents who really encouraged me. They gave me the opportunity to explore and to be myself. There was no discrimination between my brothers and my sisters. So we were all given the same opportunities. My father taught me courage. My mother stood by me right throughout. When I was growing up, when I was working, when my child was growing up, she was there always for me and helped me to, and really encouraged me to go forward. My teachers, my mentors, my seniors at the workplace. So I'm really thankful to all of them today for really for being where I am today. It has not been an easy journey, for sure. It has been a big struggle, but like I said, I've always received help. And in the financial sector especially, we find there are a lot of women. When I joined, there were not so many women, but today we find that in the financial sector, it's probably they're all at the helm of affairs. And we find Indian women being chairmen, being CMDs, being top in every field in the country. We've had women truck drivers, we've had women scientists, women doctors, so who are really making the country and the gender, of course, very, very proud. Having said this, we have really a lot of women have shattered this myth of the glass ceiling. I got the opportunity to study at the University of California at Davis, and I was really happy about it, of course. And my friends there were so surprised to hear that I get the same salary as a man. For them, it was really quite surprising. That was 30 years ago. But even now, that discrimination which we see in the West is definitely not here. We have the same opportunities and the same salary and the same remuneration. Of course, we have to struggle maybe a little more. I probably had to work 2 times or 3 times as hard as my male colleagues. But I had the opportunity, I had the drive, and I wanted to do it. So I really took the opportunities that came my way, and I made it a point to really continue to educate myself, to keep updating myself. I did my PhD in mid-career, and that again helped me very much. So I continue to grow, and I think that is what we as women, if we want to be relevant, we not only must compete with the men, because it's a world of competition, but also we have to make sure that we shine as much. So we can do this only when we are confident and when we empower ourselves first, rather than waiting for empowerment from outside. I would like to say that here I completely agree that women is like 2 wings of a bird. It's not that women can do everything on their own. We are here together to grow in public life, in society, in life, along with the men. So as men and women together, that's the only way we can take the country forward, by working shoulder to shoulder with the men. And as we just heard, that we're like the 2 wings of a bird. So that's what we need to be like. And I'd like to end by saying that there cannot be any hero, HERO, without her, HER. Thank you very much. Let us all work together and pledge that on this International Women's Day, we will really take the country forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jagirdar, and thank you for making the time to join us today. We have one more panelist who is a little late joining us, but before that, I'd like to request Professor Stefania Cavaliere, who is the professor of Hindi language and literature at the University of Orientale, University of Naples Orientale, to say a few words.
Can you hear me? Yeah. नमस्कार नमस्कार माननीय अतिथियों को और सब लोगों को महिला दिवस की शुभकामनाएं. Congratulations on Happy Women's Day. It was an honor to co-host such an important meeting with Sakshi, with the distinguished guest to whom I would like to express my most sincere gratitude. I am extremely grateful to the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, today represented by President Sahasrabudhe, that opened an Indie chair at L'Orientale University and sends us a visiting Indie teacher, hopefully every year, who is a tremendous opportunity of enrichment for our studies. And I would also like to give my thanks to Her Excellency Dr. Nina Malhotra for the many inspiring chances of collaboration with the Embassy of India in Italy. And I just would like to say that in this challenging moment where the specter of a world war is bringing us back of centuries, I think that we need always more chances to look together at the perspective of peace and respect and dignity for women every day. So this opportunity was a very important moment of sharing ideas and perspective of future collaboration. Thank you very much to everybody and to Vas in particular. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stefania ji, and thank you for your kind words. We would like to see if there are any questions and answers while we wait for Professor Pandit, who is the Vice Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru University. So if there are any questions from the audience, please put your hands up. We're now waiting for our last speaker of the evening. Dr. Shanti Shri Pandit is the first female Vice Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru University, which is one of the principal universities in India, especially in the fields of international relations and politics. While I think she's just landed, so while we wait for her, if there are any questions, etc., I'd be very happy to take questions.
Vasji, there are a lot of questions on the chat. You could pick something from there. Yeah, most of them are compliments and appreciating the discussions.
Normally, we would give the vote of thanks after the last speaker has spoken, but in the interest of not having everybody wait, I would request Professor Florinda De Simini. Professor De Simini is, let me introduce her briefly. She is one of Italy's youngest researchers, a Sanskrit scholar, and the associate professor of ancient and medieval Indian history at the University of Naples Lorientale. She's also done us very proud of being one of the first female researchers in South Italy to win a European Union grant to study Shivadharmottara, and which is a revolutionary project which she would talk better about than I would. She's also a board member of Sakshi. So I would request Professor De Simini to briefly conclude, but also give a vote of thanks for everybody.
Yes, thanks very much, Vas. But thanks in the first place to all the participants, to all the panelists and speakers of this great initiative on International Women's Day. In the first place, I would like to express our deepest thanks to the Indian Council of Cultural Relations in the figure of its president, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, for having co-hosted this webinar, along with the Southeast Asian Study Center at the University Lorientale that I represent today as a professor of that university, and along with the Indian Embassy and with the Association Sakshi that Vas just mentioned. Also, in the name of the group of scholars and researchers that I represent now, I would like to extend our gratitude to Honorable Rekha Sharma, the chairwoman of the National Commission for Women, that we were honored, to host today, and to all the other speakers. But above all, to our friend, the Ambassador Dr. Nina Malhotra and the Embassy of India. We had the pleasure of hosting her in Naples several times already, and we really look forward to more cooperation and more support in the near future. But thanks very much to us for all these webinars and all these initiatives and helping the cooperation between different institutions become real. So thanks a lot to everyone in the name of our group of scholars, and also in the name of a woman professor who feels particularly well represented in the webinar today.
Thank you so much, Professor De Simini. We actually happen to have a question, which I'll read out the question. Even though we've been celebrating International Women's Day, how do we as men give our support to women in all walks of life, not just through seminars or through education, but also through our actions? What would be the right way? This is a question, if any of the speakers would like to answer it, please let me know.
Dr. Jagirdar has raised the hand.
Just hold on. Yes, Dr. Jagirdar.
I'd just like to say that my husband, he is very, very cooperative, and we shared all the household chores. He's an excellent chef, and right now he's in the kitchen too. So that's the way men can support. And like I said, I would not have come this far without the support people I have received from my family when I was growing up, and now from my husband and my child. So I think that's really, they can show their support by actively participating and ensuring that I have the free time and I have the space to do what I want to do.
Maybe you can take the camera there to the kitchen.
No, he may not. I don't want to take him by surprise. But yes, he is an excellent chef, and that really suits me too. So we share all the chores.
Is it an invitation to us?
Most welcome. Of course it is. And to all my friends abroad also.
Thank you so much. I'd like to invite our friend Raviji, who is a historian, a veteran and a social worker, to say a few words. And of course, before we do that, I'd like to thank Mr. Narendran, who was very, very key, along with Raviji, to help organize today's webinar. So we'll have Raviji say a few words and then we'll conclude.
Honorable Rekha Sharma ji, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, Mr. Vas, Mr. Narendran ji, especially to all my Italian sisters and brothers, let me tell you that we Indians, we all love Italian pasta, Italian pizza, and Italian Ferrari. Yeah, Italian trade relations was established by Roman Emperor Augustus Caesar in the 1st century before Christ. So our connectivity goes back to 2000 years. Marco Polo visited India in the 13th century. Many other similar explorers like Nicolio, Conti, and Bartholomew Diaz sailed to India. I may add that Pope is from Vatican will be coming soon to India. Then the great Garibaldi, 19th century freedom fighter of Italy, he inspired Indian freedom fighters like Veer Savarkar and poet Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati. This noble work of connecting India and Italy is now carried forward by two persons, Mr. Vas of Sakshi and Mr. Narendran of Pride of Bharat, Pride of India. They have been working tirelessly for 1 month, and best wishes to them, because we expect many more things to happen. I may say that we have Indian women achievements are parallel to all men's achievements in almost all walks of life and throughout history. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Kamala Bisesar was the first women Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. She was also the first women Prime Minister in the entire West Indies. Recently, during this Wuhan corona crisis, Dr. Uma Madhusudan of Connecticut in United States received 100 salutes from mayor, judges, police commissioner, and all the VIPs of that city for her extraordinary work as a doctor. Indira Nui is one of the most powerful women of the world, and she has led organizations like Pepsi, Amazon, ICC, and now Philips. Leena Nair is the new CEO of French perfume company Chanel. Geeta Gopinath is the second important person in International Monetary Fund. Preeti Patel is Home Secretary in United Kingdom. I am sure very soon Italy will also see an Indian lady contributing to the development of Italy in a very big way. Thanks a lot, Sakshi. Thanks a lot, Vas. Thanks a lot, Italian brothers and sisters. Molte grazie. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much.
Grazie.
Thank you. So I don't see, we are almost running out of time. So I think without much ado, I will let our Indian friends, especially Brindaji, go to her dinner, which is waiting for her probably, and it is getting late in India. So first of all, let me thank again ICCR and Vinayji for his kindness, the Embassy of India and Her Excellency Dr. Neena Malhotra for always supporting all our ventures, no matter how crazy they are at times. And all of you, thank you to you, Narendranji also, and Raviji. And special thanks to professors at the Orientale University who have been extremely cooperative, supportive, and honestly, Sakshi only exists because of their inspiration, because they believe that the two countries are close, and after having studied India for such a long time, they are not just honorary Indians, some of them are more Indian than I am. So I'd like to thank them, especially Florinda and Stefania, who've been not only supportive, but great inspirations, as well as Anna Filigenzi, who's not here, and Professor Francesco Sferra, who's not able to make it. Thank you all. Have a good evening and happy International Women's Day again. And until the next time, thank you.
When is the next time?
Hopefully soon.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Good
That's
night.
it.
Good night. Good night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Namaste. 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 Namaste.